another up-close video. Today's one is called Making Memories with Friends, and it's one of Tonic's double A4 memory book die sets, and it's part of their Cyber Week celebrations. So, as you can see, we've got a massive amount of gorgeous elements for your memory books. A different shape again, so this is a square kind of memory book, but it has very ornate kind of edges, and you could definitely pair this with, I think it was memory book 3, I think it was number 3, that was the big square with the curved corners. You could sort of mix and match some of these fancier pages inside like a more plain sort of cover as well. But not only, with all of these double A4 die sets that they do for memory books, not only do you have more pages in different shapes to use, you also have some half pages. They've given you half pages this time. They've also given you a mini spine die, but they've also given you a binding mechanism where you can do the holes and use ribbon or twine or something to bind it. You've got these like ribbon sliders or twine sliders to add these different elements to make a closure mechanism for this double, like half-cut, double-fronted kind of book. And they've also given you a mini frame. So Tonic in the past have done, I think they've only done a couple of different frames. The first one came out quite some time ago, and then they did like a beveled one with a deep bevel and a shallow beveled kind of frame. But you've got a tiny little mini frame. It's like their original frame, it's just a sort of square sort of frame that can have this debossing detail in it, but it's a little mini one that goes up to, I think that's maybe 4.5, possibly 4.25 to 4.5 inches, little square frame. So a really gorgeous little addition that you can make as a frame to go on the front of the book, and maybe have it as somewhere where you could change in and out a photograph, or change in and out like a title for the book as well. You could have it interchangeable, or you can just use it for standalone projects as well. And to go along with this too, they have brought out a brand new one of their 12x12 paper collections. So you've got 18 sheets of 200 GSM paper, and you've got 2 of each of 9 different designs, and it's 12x12 in size, and this is called the Dusky Rose collection, and it is really, really beautiful. It's got like soft taupey creamy white kind of colours with a sort of dusky kind of rose colour, and then also like a deep kind of on the olivey side of a green. Really, really pretty floral designs in here. And on the reverse of this front sheet you also have those tags as well that we've had in the other previous papers that Tonic have brought out as well. So I've been using these in my projects that I've created with this double die set. I've done one memory book and I've done one hanging project with the frame as well, just to give you a couple of ideas of how you might want to use some of these elements. But obviously, if you're watching this video, you're most likely a seasoned memory book creator, so you're going to know exactly what to do with all of these dies. But I will run through some of the bits and pieces that we're getting in here, and some of the close-up kind of details. So the main shape of this book has got like the square pointy corners, but it's within like a curved sort of square design. And then for each page you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different page sizes, and for each page you have 2 layering dies, which is really lovely because it means you can add a tiny little like mirror card mat on your page and then cut a patterned paper or something if you want to. And you can see on the outside edges here, so all of the pages that have this extra long piece that comes out to attach it into the spine, they've got like this sort of swirl with like a larger blob on the end, almost like royal icing it's reminding me of, where you know where you start and you get a bit of a blob and then you carry on round and you get a blob at the end. So it's kind of that design on the page. Then the next layer down, you have a debossing line, and then with a dot as you get to the curved bit, it goes debossing line and then a dot right round here. So you've got that as the second layer on all of the pages, and then the third layer in just has a gorgeous debossed line without any other filigree accents to it. So you've got the page with this sort of blobbier kind of swirl, the second or the first layer down with the dot and the debossing line, and then the third layer down is just the debossing line. Sorry, just had an impromptu game of fetch with Pumpkin. So The next part of the die set is these half pages. So we actually have 2 half pages, and each of them match these 2 sizes, so the middle 2 sizes of pages. This one will match the smaller one, and this one matches the slightly larger of those middle 2 sizes. The larger of the half cut pages has the 2 layers again in the same format as I just showed you. But the smaller one just has the 1 layer, which is just the deboss line all the way around. So you've got those kind of differences between your little half cut pages, which is nice. And you do also in here get another little die that allows you to lace it together. So within these half cut pages, they already cut out these 2 holes here. And when you put the 2 pages next to each other, you end up with a 4-hole piece, which you actually have this decorative panel to go over it, and I'll show you that in my memory book that I created. But that is kind of like how you can sort of bind the 2 pages together with a little bit of ribbon. But if you want to go further, or just add some woven detail up and down the side of the page, you can actually use this die to go into there, or it has the notches on there. But it also has the notches on there just like the other longer hole die, which is actually hexagonal holes. So you've actually got the same notches so that you can line it up with any of the pages again. So if you want hexagonal holes or circular holes, you've got the 2 different options. And if you want them to fit on your half cut pages, the larger half cut page in particular, you've got the shorter kind of version than the hexagon one to make that work as well. So again, those of you who are seasoned memory book creators will kind of know perfectly how to use all of these different elements. I'm not particularly brilliant at making memory books. I tend to just go for like the basic kind of you know, construction and things, but there are so many different bits and pieces in here that you could use in all sorts of different ways. And as I was saying about this 4-plated one here, if you wanted to just use 1 half of the page, perhaps just have a flap, or maybe I think I showed this in a previous one, I put a different die cut poking out of the half cut page, so it wasn't like 2 half cut pages together. It was a half cut page, and then I attached some other pieces to it to kind of make it a fuller page, but you're not using so much card to make the base of your book. And if you want to do that kind of thing and like emphasize the 2 holes that are on there, you also have like this little sort of buckle kind of piece as well. That could span across 2 perhaps, the 2 pages coming together, or you could use it just across those 2 holes. You could use it in conjunction with the 4-hole one as well, however you kind of want to use those sort of elements. Then let's have a look at the beautiful detail. So this is a fantastic die, and you do need to roll this through twice to cut it, in one direction and then the other direction, to get, you know, the full pressure on all of the sides. But it does cut brilliantly, and I cut quite a few of these in colours that would match the papers, but I only ended up using one of them in the end. But they are absolutely beautiful, and I think if you do some kind of like drop shadow with it, it would look even better as well. And in the pinky tones it looks fantastic, and also in this gorgeous minty kind of tone as well. You can layer them directly on top of each other, or you could twist them and have like a really layered kind of effect, a much busier kind of look. But this is great for decorating the front of the book with this large piece, or I actually used the other one that I had cut. I used part of it to actually wrap around the spine and give the spine some pattern. So there's lots of different ways of using this. And if you wanted a smaller page, for example, maybe you were doing a smaller book and you wanted this pattern to be all over the front of this panel, what you can do is take this, put lots of glue over all of the tiny little areas, or possibly use a spray glue, or have die cut it with a some kind of double-sided adhesive on, and stick this to another piece of card, and then use that die to cut it out. So I know you won't get like the nice edge where the pattern kind of finishes off to the edge, but you can still make a big pattern like this work for a smaller front of a book as well, if you do want to do that too. I think that would look fantastic if you had like shadowed them as well. So maybe shadow them, stick them onto another piece, and then cut it out. I think that would look brilliant for, you know, creating a different kind of panel for your book too. Plus, this pattern is also featured in the half cut pages too. So I did use this size, I think. I don't think I used that one in the end, I used this one. But you've also got a portion of this pattern in this half size as well. So, you know, everything can coordinate together, and you've got the smaller version in the smallest page too. Then, this is that frame die. I don't think I ever did a video on the frames. I don't think I had enough time to, or yeah, I don't think I did actually. I might have done. It might be somewhere on a hard drive somewhere, but I don't think I did. But this is a frame die, so this is how the Tonic frame dies come, and they have this embossed ruler on here, and this is to allow you to change the size of this frame. So I made my frames just by cutting these pieces and using 4 of these to create one square frame that is 4 and somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, or whatever these kind of increments are in here. I think they're inches and 1/2 inches. So that's the size of the frames that I made. But the reason why they put this ruler on here is because before you assemble this, you can take this to your paper trimmer and trim it at any of these increments. So you can make a frame that's 3.5 inches square, you can make a frame that's 3 inches square, that's 2 inches square, whatever kind of size you want it to be, you can make it that size. And if I bring this in and just double check before I say what I'm going to say, yeah, so the size that it is telling you on this is the size of the outside. So when you create your frame, the outside of the frame will be this. So actually I think that's why they've done it to this funny increment here. If you cut 4 of these, put them together in a frame, you're going to get a 4-inch frame, because I think this is roughly the same width that the whole frame will end up being. So the aperture inside this frame, if you do not cut anything off of it, is going to be 4 inches. And however much you cut off of this is going to make it that much smaller on the inside. But you can also not just do square frames. So the idea is, because you can cut these and you can cut them at the same measurement on multiple pieces, you can also create rectangles too. So you could have it a 4-inch by a 3-inch kind of rectangle. So you can kind of do whatever you want to with this kind of a die. And I love this dinkier version because you can use it on your cards, or you can use it on the front of a memory book, or if you're using a different spine, not necessarily this one, if you're using one of the other spines that they brought out a while back that had wider increments between the pages, this could fit between a page as well. And you could even make like a mini shadow box kind of inside the book. You could do some kind of hidden sort of element that maybe a small chocolate bar would fit inside of, or a small packet of biscuits or something that's no taller than the height of this, and it could have a door flapping over the top of it with a little fastening to hold it shut as well. So there's so many different ways of using this little frame piece too. So I think that is a wonderful addition to one of these double A4 memory book die sets. I really like that they've put that in there. Then I spoke about the spine die earlier. You've just got like a miniature little spine in here. So it's the same width as the original spine. I can't remember what the original spine was called, but it came out with memory book 2, I think, which was the rectangle one with the inverted sort of curved corners. But it's the same sort of depth between the pages as that one, and you can stick 2 pages onto this spine. So where those little slits are missing, those 2 pieces actually stick together at the back and fold upwards, and they create a space for you to stick your pages to. And you can put as many of them as you want to together. If you really want to see how the spine dies kind of work and like the basics behind building a memory book, if you go over to Tonic's YouTube channel, there's a whole playlist from Jodie herself showing you exactly how to do that. I do have one that is, I think I did it for, was it for birthday week? I can't remember now. A little while back I did one of my tutorial videos on how to create a foam tape spine, which is how I like to make my memory books, and how I've made the one that I'll show you later. But if you want to know how to do that, then there is a full tutorial on my channel of how to do that as well. So you can put a memory book together however you like. You can do it with the binding mechanism, you can do it with the spine, you can make your own spine, you can do the foam tape spine. You know, there's hundreds of different ways of putting a memory book together, whatever you kind of prefer really. Then, as well as all of those dies, you also have the main sentiment of the die set. So the die set is making memories with friends. So you have this die here that says making memories, and you have the bubble to go around the edge. I'll show you that cut out because I've used that on my book. And then you've got with family, with friends. This one says with you, together, and on your journey. So you can do making memories on your journey, making memories with you, making memories together, making memories with friends, making memories with family. So you've got lots of different options for picking your chosen sentiment, or you can put this maybe making memories with, you know, like Jodie's Facebook group, it's making memories with Jodie. You can do making memories with and then actually personalise it with a name as well. So you've got lots of different options to change this and add different elements to it as well. Then all of those smaller dies that I just read out, the 5 smaller ones, they're actually in like a ticket kind of shape, and there are 2 different versions of how you can map that sort of ticket element up as well. So you've got this one here. This could be a closure mechanism, it could be a nameplate, it could be a slider, but this one has circular holes on it, so maybe you'd want to use a narrower 3mm ribbon or a twine to sort of make that a slider. But you can then put any of your words onto here with the little sort of ticket shape that cuts around the edge, and this one matches the outside page design with that kind of blob on the end of the line that goes round, and you can put any of them in there. But then you also have just the debossed version plus a little matte and layer if you just wanted to use those individually. And then you have this one, which also again has the same as the page outside edge with the sort of line with the blob on it, but this one sort of goes the opposite way. All of these sentiments are landscape orientation, so this one you would use this way and the twine or ribbon would run horizontally, but this one you would use this way and the ribbon would run vertically. So this one you want to use like a flatter sort of ribbon to go through those slits on there, and then you can mount up your little sentiment, and this can go on the front of the book in conjunction with the words making memories. It can be more of like a belly band kind of thing inside that you maybe tuck photographs behind, because this doesn't have to be a ribbon that's going through there. That could be a strip of cardstock that you've cut, and it could just be held down onto the page as well. So many different ways of using all of these different pieces, whether they're intended to be used that way or not. There's tons of different ways of using things. And then finally, the rest of the elements on here are actually some of my favourites. There are multiple different flowers. So there are these 3 flowers here. These 2 are the same in different sizes, and then you've also got a 6-petaled, roughly edged petaled kind of one. I love this flower. I did cut pieces to make a card with this, but I've run out of time, so I might make a card at some point in the future, but I don't think it'll be featured in this video. But these 2 flowers, I absolutely adore this kind of a flower. I just think they look so modern, and you could use them as apertures as well. It doesn't have to be a positive flower that you stick on. Any of these elements that you want to add onto your page, they can be an aperture, and then the colour behind would show through. So you can do all sorts of things like that with those. And then my absolute favourites, I don't know why they don't make this as like a separate die set. They kind of hide these gorgeous sort of things within larger die sets, but these are absolutely beautiful. This is why I wanted to make a card with these, so I'm pretty sure I will be making a card at some point in the future. But these are all absolutely gorgeous. Look at all of those. They're like fantastic wild flowers. This would look fantastic with stone drops on the end to give that some like pollen-y kind of texture. You've got these sort of pieces. If you had a corn on the cob, that looks like a kind of corn on the cob sort of piece. A gorgeous frondy swirly bit, a lovely leaf with some swirls, a gorgeous viney swirl, and then like a berry piece as well. So this can allow you to you know, go with those flowers and vine kind of themes and add different flowers in. Make it look more harvesty, make it look more wildflowery, make it look a bit more fancy by putting the swirly flourishes behind some of your flowers, or making it look Christmassy and using some berries as well. So there's loads of different pieces within here to also add decoration, whether you're going to go with the paper pad or whether you're just going to use cardstock and stuff or other papers that you have in your stash. These dies are really going to like elevate different pages and things by adding little clusters. Maybe you put them this way on the card and have like word dies or alphabet dies making a word along the sort of branch of something as well. So many ways of using those gorgeous accent pieces too. So I'll put all of these away, and I will show you those patterned papers as well, and then I'll show you the projects that I created. So this is the gorgeous Dusky Rose paper pad, which is launching with this AA4 memory book die set. And this is the front sheet of it, and if you turn it over, you have all of these elements here that actually coordinate with the die set. I'll put the name of the die set on here because I can't actually remember, but it's one of the ones that came out a while back with a different memory book release. But these pieces can actually be die cut with those dies, so you've got the perfect little tags. But if you don't have those dies, you can just hand cut these as well. And if you still want that postage stamp edge, you can cut up to the postage stamp and then use a hole punch to punch those little half notches out as well, if you want to do that. And then you have 2 of each of 9 double-sided designs. So I've got each of the 9 designs here. You have 3 that are more on the taupey, creamy kind of side, 3 that are more on the dusty. Then you have 3 in the dusky pink kind of colour, and then 3 in that gorgeous dark green kind of colour tone, and they're all the same sort of pattern. I don't know if they're 100%. No, they are pretty much the same actually, but they're all so like different scales of the design. So you have like this sort of size in all 3 colours, and then you have the next sort of size in all 3 colours as well. Then the next kind of pattern is a slightly larger kind of scale, and everything's a bit closer together. And then the final one is back to a smaller scale, but it is close together again. So they all go really nicely with each other. And then when you flip them over, you've got a really busy pattern. You've got again slightly smaller but more spread out, and then you have even smaller and spread out as well. So these are kind of the same but then just different scales. And I guess these, yeah, I guess these 2 are kind of the same but different scales as well. So you can kind of see the variation in the pages, and it does give a really beautiful effect when you use a lot of these together for your memory book, because everything is cohesive but it's all like a slightly different colour background, and then the different sort of scales and busyness of the papers as well. But they're absolutely gorgeous, these designs. Really, really lovely. I love this dark green. I've used this for my frame kind of project, but it's absolutely beautiful. And you can also fussy cut out some of these images as well. I've been doing that. One of each of the designs is slightly more on the muted side as well. So beautiful papers. So this is the first project that I created, and I just used the full size of those frames and made 3 of them and put that gorgeous debossing detail in there, and you get the beautiful mitered corners when you put them together as well. I've used the green pattern papers in the background, and I've also fussy cut out some of the flowers to add onto there too. To string all of these together, I have used some wide organza ribbon, which I think was from the Spring Meadow colour trend, and then the 9mm Ivory ribbon as well, just to make it look a little bit different. I felt like the green didn't stand out enough, but the cream looked too plain by itself. And then also, because these are double-sided patterned papers, you could see some of the obviously the pattern here, but because I stuck the ribbon on afterwards, I wanted to cover it as well. So it's not like perfect matching, but you know, it kind of blends in quite nicely, and obviously that's going to be against a wall anyway, so you're not really going to see it, but I thought I'd just show you the back of it too. And then the sentiments that I've used on here are from the Foliage Frames and Inspiring Sentiments collection, and then there was a circle, a diamond and a hexagon, and I've used the 3 sentiments from the centres to do those sentiments in there, just to make them fun, inspirational kind of decor to hang up. So it says, make today the greatest day, chase your dreams, and the world needs more people like you. So really lovely little inspiring sort of wall hanging. And then finally, my memory book that I created. So I went with the second size down, and obviously I've used the patterned papers. I made my book out of cream. I usually go for white cardstock, but because the sort of taupey tones of some of the papers, I decided to go for cream. I thought it would work much nicer, and I've also gone for ivory kind of ribbon on here as well. I also hid the ribbon under the back page and also under the front layer as well, so that the ribbon is actually sort of part of the book too as my closure mechanism. I don't always put a closure on a book, but I thought about it ahead of time, so I did put it on this. This is where I've wrapped the pattern around my little foam tape spine, and if you want to know how to do that, then I will link the tutorial at the end of the video as well of how to create a foam tape spine for your book. Then for the front cover, I've cut a couple of the dies together to create little frames, and this is the layer that has the gorgeous deboss line and then the dot on there, so really really, really pretty. And I've just twisted 2 of them off centre from each other and cut them from some satin mirror card and some pearlescent cardstock as well. I've put some of those gorgeous frondy pieces on there too, and a couple of the flowers on here as well, and that centre has moved, but that's all right. And then it says making memories with friends as my little sort of title to the book, really. Then all of the pages inside, I've just kept them really simple. Use the gorgeous patterned papers, and again you can see this beautiful debossed design on the actual page, which is the cream, and then the first layer down has the debossed line with the dot. And that's what I've used to cut all of my patterned papers. And then I've also used these pieces here, which the debossed line and the dot is the first outside layer of the half cut page, and then I've also used the detail from that larger half cut page as well to make pockets, because they line up absolutely perfectly on the page itself. So then you can make little pockets, and I've just used a couple of the die cut pieces to create little pieces to tuck into there. I've done this in the centre here too, using the smaller half cut sort of piece, and I've used different cards on the inside, different patterns on there, and I've also just threaded that with a ribbon as well and used that little 4-piece closure mechanism. So that's kind of how these can work. Or with the larger one, you can cut the other holes into these pieces and lace it up further as well if you want to. So lots of different ways. Or you can just use the 2-piece little plate to go over there as well. It doesn't have to be 4 of them. And then I've just done a few more like little pocket pieces. I've done a little cluster here. So instead of it saying with friends, I've put a swirl over the top of that, so it just then says friends. And I've got gorgeous foliage coming out of there. Another sort of frame piece on there too. Some more like little pockets with bits and pieces coming out of them. And you could tuck photos in there. You can tuck tickets in there, receipts, whatever you want to really. And just a gorgeous little book, and a lovely shape as well. A really lovely ornate kind of shape to be getting on with too. And I will just show you how to lace this back up again if you're interested. So to fasten this up, you want to go behind one of those holes there, the one that's attached, and then you want to come up through this hole here, then come back up through the decorative piece. So we've gone behind that whole top section there. Then you want to come diagonally across the sort of decorative portion, that gorgeous little 4-hole piece, diagonally across the front of there, pull that through, and then you want to go back up through the other half page and then back up through the buckle piece. And then when you pull that together, you're going to be able to tie this in a bow, and it's going to be sort of diagonal, so it kind of looks like a button that's been sewn on, but obviously it's been threaded with ribbon, but you know what I mean, it's in that little cross like a button. So I really hope you enjoyed this up-close video showing you the gorgeous Making Memories with Friends double A4 die set from Cyber Week for Tonic, and also the gorgeous Dusky Rose 12x12 paper collection as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!